And so it begins. There's a state of emergency in Colorado, and we'll talk about what they have a state of emergency declared for and what it means for the rest of Americans. Are we going to see more states adhere to this state of emergency and declare it too, and then all of a sudden throws this black swan event that we've been talking about? It could happen. Not only that, we're going to talk about what the Coast Guard just found off the coast of Alaska. What is actually in our waters right close to Alaska? And something we should be talking about, something that we've already been talking about that's happening right now. So let's discuss these two stories and how important they are to you, because they affect you and your family, the safety of your family, and what the next coming weeks and months hold prior to an election. Let's dive in. We got time on our side. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here. We humbly ask that you subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Give us a thumbs up, share it with other people. Our goal is to build our community so we can grow together, to have a common sense approach, how to have wisdom as we seek the ways to best take care of our family in this crazy world that we live in. Now let's talk about these stories of the day. First, state of emergency has been declared for Colorado. Now what for? Well, you may have guessed it, the H5N1 bird flu. The Colorado Governor Polis issued an emergency declaration for his state over the outbreak of highly pathogenic bird flu. As in Weld County, officials recently reported 1.8 million chickens were impacted with this virus. Well, what do you think they did with those 1.8 million chickens? I imagine you know. The governor verbally declared a disaster with this avian flu and says commercial poultry houses will be affected. According to the statement issued by his office, he did not name the facility but did name the county. The declaration means that Colorado can use its emergency powers to take all necessary and appropriate state actions to assist in the response, the recovery, and mitigation. I want you to listen to that word again. Anytime a state does a declaration, it allows them to use emergency powers to take all, keyword all, necessary and appropriate state actions. Here's the problem I have with state emergencies declarations, and it could be for any situation. There's no specification of really what take all necessary actions. What does that mean? Does that mean who sees what is necessary and what is not? Does that mean lockdowns? Not. Does that mean masks? Not. Does that mean eradication? Not. Does that mean we are no longer allowed to have chickens anymore? Or not? What is the mitigation, all actions to mitigate the cause? What does that mean? Who sets that precedent? Well, if you're on the opposing side of what a governor is, no matter if it's left or right, does that affect you, and should it affect you? Again, as a conservative libertarian, I do want safety. However, I don't want overreach. And when we hear state of emergencies declared, what actually designates all necessary actions? It's big words, and I think that that's what's going to play into all of a sudden other states declaring this, and then those actions may be something that they do for certain kind of voting. It may be something they do for situations that they want to take control of, and they may hinder you from maneuvering like lockdowns. You don't know. We just know that no matter how bad or serious or not lethal anything may be with the outbreak, what it does mean is it gives them powers that they once did not have. So when we always talk about any of these outbreaks, as I have spoke to, I was blue in the face, it does not matter if it's lethal or not. It does not matter if it's bad or not. What matters is they take the executive action of saying emergency, then it gives them powers that they once did not have. Before we go any further, I want to introduce you to the sponsor of today's video. The sponsor of today's video is Modern Needs Survival. Now, I don't know if you can hear it. We're in the woods. We're actually right next to where we're cutting all these trees. No matter how much I try to charge my phone, charge my radio, my headset, anything that I'm using out in the woods, instead of me having to go back home and recharge these things, that's what comes in handy, is this little sun charged supernova. What this is for Modern Survival Needs is a solar battery bank that you can put literally hooked onto your bag with these carabiners. It also has a built-in magnet where you can utilize this in a car, in a backpack, on your side-by-side, or even in the woods. Now, in itself, this thing is a phenomenal buy. We're going to talk about it, but before we do, I want to show you one thing. I have partnered with Modern Needs to give one of you a $5,000 dream vacation for anyone who purchases the Sun-Charged Supernova battery bank this month, in the month of July. To enter, all you have to do is click my link in the description and be prepared anywhere you go. This Modern Needs Survival, I have actually 3 of these. My girls and my son take them. Aiden goes and he likes to fish with it. It's got 3 different ports on the back. It has a flashlight, so we can use 2 USBs. We can charge multiple things at one time. Now we plug it in to the wall to get it charged. Then we hook it right to the backpack. Then if we need something charged, you've got a new battery sitting right there. Charge your phone, charge your radio, and then again, put it out in the sun. Then you're gonna start recharging it back. If you feel this, it's hard as a brick, so it's not gonna be destroyed like these little cheap namby-pamby phones. So have this, throw this right next to you anywhere you go, and not only for prepper needs, for camper needs, for off-grid needs. It may just be at a construction site. When you have alternative energy and you can utilize it anywhere you go, it's a game changer for you and your family. My wife puts hers in her purse, my son keeps his in his truck, and usually on his fishing boat, and I usually keep one with me on my side-by-side, because there's never a time that I'm not needing some kind of alternative energy to get me by, and there's nothing better than Modern Needs Survival. Now check the link below. This is a great buy. Don't even think about the vacation. That's great. It'd be great to win that, you know, in this economy. But more than that, this should be in all your prepping supplies, a way that you can charge, a way that you can be safe and know that you have a rechargeable method for your phones, your tablets, and anything that you're needing to use, maybe just to simply get back home. Guys, check out Modern Needs Survival today. The link in the description. When you go in and use that link and you buy one of these, you will be entered into the giveaway for the whole month of July. On July 8th, the Colorado Department of Agriculture confirmed of this 1.78 million chickens that were impacted with this highly pathogenic. They make sure they use those terms. The Colorado Department of Public Health said in a statement that July 3rd that the dairy farm workers, along with now some of these farms with chickens, are all affected and they have direct exposure. Now the question is, did this person have any connection to the people that were in Weld County at these chicken houses from the dairy farm, you know, with the exposure just a few weeks ago? Officials say they have not ruled that out. They do not know how the virus is spreading. You listen to that, how the virus is spreading. It may be a small risk right now to the residents, noting that the virus is spreading among animals and they're trying to figure out why. The virus is not adapted to spread from person to person. Listen to this now. The virus as of now is not adapted to spread from person to person. So we claim to have the state of emergency, which is serious because it could take away from our food. However, as of right now, this is at the very bottom of the article. It cannot yet go person to person. Now, let's see what happens in the next coming weeks and months. Right now, the most important thing is that people know that the regular exposure is only to animals, and the increased risk of infection should be precautions, really mostly with contact with animals. People who are not advised to touch dead or sick animals, please stay away. Make sure you are using all precautions, using face shields, masks, dealing with these animals. All right, now here you go. So far in 2024, 3 other dairy workers have been in contact with the virus, and they have all gotten over it as of now. They all had issues with eyes and discharge and cough, discomfort, and having minor health issues. Now again, bottom of the story, they don't talk about it when they declare the state of emergency. Meanwhile, July 9th, Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development confirmed that their avian influenza has been detected in other dairy herds. And now they are talking about what to do with these 26 herds that are now affected in Michigan. So we have Colorado, we have Michigan. Michigan is now talking about what is their next step. Do they have a state of emergency yet? We'll see. Tests are being conducted at Michigan State University. The state agency recommended that farms not share equipment with other farms to mitigate the risk of the spreading of the virus. In a statement issued last month, it says the U.S. Food and Drug Administration said newly confirmed pasteurization is effectively inactivating the bird flu. In each of the total of 9 repeated experiments, the virus was completely inactivated due to pasteurization and heating. So we hear at the very bottom of the story, even though it's a state of emergency, that it right now is no risk to humans, especially if you're cooking your food or making sure that you're getting it from a good quality source. The question is, what happens to the food system though when they take out millions of birds or they shut down millions of dairy herds? That hurts your cow and chicken, your proteins. Now, what is next? What happens next? What is these states going to do when there's no risk to humans and they have declared the state of emergency? Keep an eye on this, Colorado and Michigan. Now let's jump over to another story that I think is even more severe and actually truly something we should be keeping an eye on. The U.S. Coast Guard spots Chinese ships off Alaska. It is detected in international waters. However, it is in what we call the U.S. economic zone. Now, they've done this once or twice before. It's kind of provocating. So they're wondering why these ships are there. Some exploring, but there's some that actually have military capabilities. Now, the question is, why are they there and what's the next step? And is there any worry here? It says 3 vessels were detected 124 miles off the Amchitka Pass and the Aleutian Islands, of course, in Alaska. The 4th ship spotted 84 miles north of this same pass. The ships were seen Saturday and Sunday. All 4 ships were in international waters. However, the Coast Guard said they were inside the U.S. exclusive economic zone. Means it is part of international waters. However, it is considered ran by these countries. There's a lot of these areas, especially like the South China Sea. There's a big issues with those economic pass zones when it comes to China, Japan, and some of the Asian Pacific cultures. Asian Pacific countries. It's a big deal. In these areas, the United States has exclusive rights of exploring and using marine resources. No other vessels should have without permission. When contacted, the Coast Guard said to ensure there is no disruptions, the U.S. interest in the maritime environment of Alaska. There is no issue right now. However, we are trying to figure out what these vessels are doing. It says they are on a navigational operation to have the freedom to be able to explore. Now the question is, again, why are 4 ships in our waters or close to our waters in our economic zone? The naval presence was tracked by the U.S. Coast Guard. Now, remember, they knew that we would see this. China, like America, like Russia, the military capabilities, the security clearances, the security ableness of our countries are second to none. So they know that these 4 ships would have been picked up by Coast Guard that are in our waters. Now, you remember the story that I talked about, I think, a day or two ago about Chinese having military presence now right there at the Ukrainian border. Now we're seeing provocation. We've already seen with Taiwan. Now we're seeing provocation with off our shores. Are we seeing that uptick in China saying, you know what, it's go time? Now, I don't know. We don't know that. But don't you think it's weird that they put more, listen to this, China in the last week have put more warplanes in the air surrounding Taiwan and going in the areas that are considered Taiwan airspace, which China thinks is theirs, of course. They've put more planes in the air going around Taiwan than ever before. We have Chinese presence in Belarus at the Polish-Ukrainian border next to Russia. China has met with North Korea and Russia the last few weeks, and now China has presence in our economic zone right off the coast of Alaska. Is that provocation? Is that something we should worry about? At the same time, we had the big boy press conference last night from our president where he just literally lost his mind still. I mean, again, talking about the vice president being Trump and talking about all kinds of stuff. He introduced Zelensky yesterday as Putin. There's just a lot going on. So that weakness, I think, is now saying China they're almost now coming back and saying, you know what, let's test the waters. Let's see how far we can push it before we see anything. So I think now where NATO has provocated for so long, I think China now is almost doing the same thing and saying, let's see how far we can push it before we decide to do what we're going to do in Taiwan. It's a big deal. The issue with the South China Sea is all of those areas in the Pacific, the Philippines, Japan, and China, claim these economic zones. The same thing that we are talking about that these people are in, and they're saying, no, we're totally fine. We're just wanting to operate in this area. That same economic zone off Alaska is the same economic zone that they claim they have rights to the South China Islands and all the other little island states that are right there. that the Philippines and Japan say they should have rights to. China is saying that is their economic zone. So while they're saying this is theirs, no one's allowed to be in it, they're also in ours. That's provocation. Now, why is that provocation happening? We don't know. We'll see in the next days and weeks. But I think we need to pay attention to what's going on around our seas, because our focus has been, again, overseas. And what's actually scarier is what's at the border and what's going around in the ocean right next to us on our property, or in at least our zones where we're supposed to man and control. Remember, Russia was just close to Cuba just a few days ago, right off the coast of Miami. And then now we have China sitting in Alaska. That's a pretty big deal. All right, guys, we're wrapping it up. Remember, pay attention to these stories. It's not, again, what the risk is. It's how what the solution is by the government. That's kind of what you got to look for. It's not what is happening. It's how they react to what is happening that could affect you even more. Also remember, the sponsor of today's video, check out Modern Needs Survival Sun Charger. Yes, you're entered into the giveaway, but more than that, buy something that helps you. And this is one of those things that are good to have. They're not really expensive. You can put them in your car and know that just in case your battery dies, you're stuck on the side of the road, how important is that little charger to be able to plug your phone up and just get to where you need to go. It's very important. The little things is what matters. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.